Hey everyone, and welcome back to the 6th episode of the Games Per Second podcast. I'm Gio, and with me is...
Winston, as always. Hello.
As always, yes. Tons of topics to talk about today. Gaming news, Ni no Kuni 2 got dated, for Switch. It's been out on other platforms. We briefly talked about that in our spare time, and...
Very, very good game. I've played a little bit of the first game. I've watched playthroughs of the first game. It seems very good. As you said earlier, I think the first game got better reviews and user feedback than the second one did. But still.
Yeah. I have not played either. So I will take your word for it. But yeah, I'm just going off of reviews. I don't know too much about it. I've heard it's like a little bit of Pokemon, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So
yeah.
I don't know. Looks interesting. But why don't you take this first topic? Because I don't know much about this. Gonna be honest.
I just heard about this today. Apparently it happened yesterday. So I'm gonna butcher the name. But Kentaro Miura, I think he's the creator of the manga Berserk. He died, yes. Or he died on May 6th, but it was just released public yesterday. Or the day before. He was 54. But you might be wondering, this is not a manga podcast. Why are we bringing this up? Well, apparently, as I was looking this up, first of all, I'm a big manga person. That's why I've heard the news. But as I was looking into this, apparently the people behind Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, and Monster Hunter all got inspired at a young age and then further along in development by the Berserk manga. So we might not have those games if he did not make the manga that he did. Interesting.
And obviously those games being made by From Software and Capcom.
Yes.
Respectively. Interesting. I mean, we've talked about the similarities in those games, mechanics, movement mechanics. I don't know, a lot of the way that the combat works. How there are some parallels. I didn't know they were actually inspired by the same source material and manga. So that's definitely very cool. I did not know that, and sad to hear that.
Yeah. Sad times. Very young. Never got to
54.
Complete the manga. But,
my goodness. Yeah. And I don't know how to transition out of that.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to
just gonna go for it. Yeah, no, it's tough to transition out of something like that. But in terms of other gaming news, though, a new Mario Golf trailer got released showing a Battle Royale mode. I have not seen this yet. You have?
Yes.
Tell me more. What's going on with that?
They didn't go too intensively into the Battle Royale mode.
Okay.
They showed I can't remember what the mode is called, where you play with your friends and you all run and try to get the ball in or whatever.
Oh, I saw that in the first trailer. I think.
Yes. So they took all those concepts. They showed power moves and stuff like that in this new trailer.
So funny.
And apparently there's a Battle Royale mode where you're in a world. It looked kind of basic when I was watching it, but they didn't show too much. Where it's just full of golf holes, and your aim is to be the person that gets your ball in as many of the holes as possible, and that's how you move on.
Funny. That's funny.
Yeah. Seems very interesting.
Are you actually getting this game?
I'm not sure. I really liked Mario Golf on the 64.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna grab it. It seems very cool. It seems the more they show about the party mode aspect of the game, the more I'm interested. Also, they have the whole single player experience where it's pseudo and RPG where you can raise stats on your player as you go along.
Interesting.
If that's very fleshed out, I would be happy to grab it because it gives me something to play on my own. And it's more interesting than just a random golf game. because I can't see myself sitting down and being like, yeah, today I'm gonna just play a course of Mario Golf all on my own you know?
What do you mean? Why not?
It's just not my kind of game.
It's coming out late next month, mid next month. What's going on with that?
I can't remember. It's coming out very soon. And I know a lot of people are saying that like they're happy that these trailers are popping up now, because the more we see of it now, the less we'll see of it on E3.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Honestly, it's one of those games where like if you get it and like our other friends get it, I'm definitely going to get it. But like if no one gets it, then I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it more for the multiplayer, but like you said, if the single player ends up being a bit deeper, then that could sweeten the deal as well. So We'll see. I'm not like 100% day one sold on it, but we'll see. We'll see. I might end up picking it up very soon.
Genuinely, I might grab it if the single player is pretty good.
Nice. If you pick it up, I'll pick it up. I'll be down to play some multiplayer. We've even played golf with your friends on Steam. So multiplayer golf, something about it. Something about it,
man.
Oh yeah, it's a ton of fun.
That's like, but golf with your friends is like mini golf. This is like golf.
Yeah. This is oh my gosh. I'm just thinking back. GTA 5 had a golf course that you could go to. I don't know. Someone's probably done way better, but like, I was so happy when I finally like finished par. Oh my goodness, I was so happy when I did that. I haven't played that game in years, but when I did, I played like everything I possibly could. I think which is why I haven't played it in years is because I squeezed as much as I could out of it. And I know it was online, but not for me. Not for me. But anywho, Mario Golf. I'm definitely happy that they're bringing the franchise back.
Mm-hmm.
A bit more of not an obscure series, but like I don't know. It's one of those things. I really hope that if this does well, do you think they might already be working on and or start thinking about working on a new Mario Strikers?
I was waiting for that. I was gonna say, like, I love the Mario sports series.
Yep.
But Strikers is like the game that I always used to play.
Yep. It's the Mario sports game. It's the one. It's the one.
I think if this goes well, I think they can see a Mario Strikers coming to the Switch.
Do you think they're already working on one in the background and this is like a little appetizer?
It's hard to say, because who makes these sports games? Is it like a different part of the Nintendo company? Like, it's hard to say.
Zero idea. I have no idea.
So maybe, I would hope so. I feel like the Switch is like the perfect platform for, because it wasn't even like a full soccer game, right? It was like a 3 or 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, something like that.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect, hey, you have a Switch on you, like, let's play together. Or, hey, here, grab a Joy-Con, we'll play a round of Strikers kind of thing.
Yep.
I feel like golf doesn't have that same stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Allure?
Yeah.
I guess.
Or like just multiplayer appeal.
I'm
not gonna be like, oh, you're here, let's take turns and play golf together on my one Switch. It's more like
it doesn't have the same pick up and play nature. Which,
yeah.
with that in mind, though, like you just said, let's take turns. Maybe that's exactly what they were thinking when they made the Battle Royale mode, where it said if people taking turns, just everyone go.
Yeah, exactly.
So kind of negates what you just said.
But you'd have to.
Nintendo thought of that already.
Right?
Oh.
And I feel like a split screen on that mode would be very rough if you're playing on a portable Switch. Like. Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to be playing it online, though.
Yes.
I mean, just in general, and be given the worldwide situation where people are being asked to stay home. So, but to your point, yeah, for split screen, it would be a bit weird. Whereas Mario Strikers, I mean, there is no split screen. It's just all on one screen, right? So definitely easier to just pick up and play with a bunch of friends.
Yeah. My thought was like you're on a plane and like you can't like attach to other people while they're playing online or whatever. You're on a plane and like, oh, here, let's play some Strikers. You and me. Random person in the seat next to me. Yeah.
It's true.
Whereas it has more of that appeal. Obviously, online, the golf, and pretty much any other game can like replicate that appeal. But in the wilderness, it's not as easy to play multiplayer.
In the wilderness. Didn't know we were playing Mario Golf in the frozen tundra.
Hey man, I mean it's an apocalypse out there.
Not far off. Not far off. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that game. And like you said, I really think Nintendo's going to bring some heat to E3 this year. I really think they're bringing out the big guns. Probably going to be wrong. I hope I'm not.
No, they're gonna do it. Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid 4, Metroid Prime 4, I should say.
Nah, it's Metroid 4.
3D Donkey Kong, potentially, maybe 2D Donkey Kong.
Hey.
Either way.
Oh
maybe another Mario game at the same time, you never know.
Man. So many possibilities.
It could be a 2D Mario, because I know that
Galaxy 2?
The people who make 3D Mario and the people who make 2D Mario are like separate teams.
Yes. Yeah.
So if 3D Mario Studio is working on the Donkey Kong, whatever remake, whatever they're doing, then there could be a 2D Mario coming out. But then if the 2D Donkey Kong, if Donkey Kong is 2D, then putting out a 2D Mario doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Switch Edition.
Switch again though this time.
Switch Edition again for another time. Brackets.
That name is way too long. For real. That name is way too long. I get why it is with this the way it is, but it's too long.
Yeah.
But anywho.
I mean,
yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, it was really long, and it was more to do with like marketing, which we'll get to later on.
We will get to, yes. But yeah, moral of that story is a Mario Golf trailer, Battle Royale. I'm looking forward to it. Might buy it. If you buy it, I'm buying it for sure. Because I would love to play multiplayer with that. But yes, that looks cool. I'm very much looking forward to that. And I think that it also sets up their E3 very well as well.
Yeah,
which is great because I think it's going to be some hot heat. But
to that point, before we move on here,
yes,
apparently there's rumors going on that there's going to be a Pokemon Presents also before E3.
I heard that.
Which, in the same vein as this Mario Golf stuff, it means that they won't be showing as much Pokemon during E3.
Which is good for us who wants
good
all those new games. Exactly.
Yeah.
All that new stuff. We want that new stuff. We want that good. I don't know. At E3, I don't want to hear about things that I already know about. I want that. I want to get surprised. I want that good.
Okay, well, you can't say that.
I want that heat.
You can't, because then what about Metroid Prime 4? You know about Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, but they're not going to talk about it. They're not. I'm past that. I'm fine with that. They had to restart it, which, mind you, they restarted it 2.5 years ago now, so it's probably far enough along. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. They might talk about it more. I think 2.5 years into development, they would have talked about a game, but given that how it went through the first go around, I think they're going to hold off to the absolute very last second. And so even if they would have talked about it 2.5 years into it, they're not going to, just because they're going to wait till it's absolutely ready. So I don't think we're going to hear about it for that reason.
I can understand that. I mean, I agree and disagree. I feel like it's back in good hands. Like, Retro has done an amazing job every single time.
Unquestionably.
I can't say what happened with the other studio.
I thought it was Bandai. I'm not sure though.
I think it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nintendo was just like, yeah, we're not really feeling what you're putting out there, and Retro showed us like a tiny demo that we were more impressed with than like the whatever years you put into what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So
what's weird is that when they said it was being restarted, it was a year and a half after they unveiled it.
Yeah.
And that seemed like a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 2.5 years now. Still haven't heard. So it's weird how then it was like, oh, it's been a year and a half. Tell us more about Metroid Prime 4. Whereas now it's been 2.5 years since then.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's like, it's written it off. Like, it's whatever.
Well, I feel
it's weird
like
how time works.
because it was unexpected.
Yeah.
It was like Metroid Prime 4. Oh my goodness, it's happening, and then it wasn't happening. Whereas now, like, you know it's happening. It's like, you know it's gonna come.
Guess.
It's just gotta wait. I do feel like they could show something this year. I'm not gonna get my hopes like too far up, but I do feel like they could show at least like, hey, we're still in production, kind of thing.
I guess. Do you think they could do what they did with Zelda at the last Direct, where it's like, hey, Breath of the Wild 2 is still coming, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Skyward Sword HE. Do you think they could do that where Nintendo comes on, oh hey, we're still working on Metroid Prime 4, Retro Studios is still hard at work on Metroid Prime 4, but for now, here's the trilogy HD. Do you think they can go down that route?
I'm
really hoping.
with you until the trilogy edition.
What do you mean? They gotta give us the trilogy, dude.
I firmly believe they will not release the trilogy before they have a solid, like, deadline for Metroid Prime 4.
Well, they should have a solid deadline for Metroid Prime 4. No, I get what you mean. You're not wrong. I'm just a needy little fanboy. I need me some Metroid Prime on my Switch. There are some rumors of a new 2D Metroid, though. That could be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool, yeah.
That could be really cool. And could be in something in that vein, where it's like, oh, hey, we're still working Metroid Prime 4. Retro Studios is doing a great job so far. But for now, here's a new 2D Metroid.
Yeah.
Do you think that could be a thing?
I think if they
the
bring
rumors
up
about that for a while.
Any kind of Metroid, anything, then after they're done showing it, they will have to address that, like, hey, Retro's still working on the stuff. We'll get to it, but it's not like
Fair.
ready for show unless they actually show something. In which case, they wouldn't have to have that statement. If they show like a short cutscene type thing, then they can be like, hey, yeah, it's in development. Don't worry, this is a cutscene to hold you over.
Like with Breath of the Wild 2. About 2.5 years after Breath of the Wild came out, they released that trailer. That's cinematic. And so it could go down that route, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. A very good cinematic.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Of course. It was great. I'm very much looking forward to that game. A lot of rumors of being co-op because or being able to switch between Link and Zelda because the trailer has them both there and not one trying to save the other. That could be really cool, but that's all just hearsay.
Yeah.
And so maybe as for another day, who knows?
Yeah, we'll
maybe pre and or post E3.
Both, for sure. Pre and post. I want to get like a discussion up of us predicting what we're going to see.
Mm-hmm. And then a discussion afterwards of what we saw.
Yeah, of course.
Reactions to what we saw. But, we talk about that in almost every podcast. I don't want to be on nothing for too long. So moving forward, I suppose.
Yeah.
What's this about Sega and Sonic Omens? What's going on here? What is going on here?
Okay. So
I don't know too much about this.
Just in the past few days.
A little bit.
I think it was within the past week. So we might have missed it in the last podcast. But Sonic Omens is a fan-made game.
Okay.
And there's a ton of Sonic fan games because, to be fair, a lot of the Sonic games that are made by Sega themselves have not really been hitting the nail on the head very well.
That's a good way to put it.
So there's a bunch of Sonic fan games out. Sega has released statements time and time again about them being like totally okay with it as long as there's no monetary gain from these fan games. Very much taking the polar opposite way of dealing with it than Nintendo does, where it's just kind of like, hey,
Oh,
is that
man.
a plumber with a mustache? Banhammer, get that out of
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
But yeah, they've been pretty okay with it. The problem is that this Sonic Omens game, I think it was Patreon or like a Kickstarter or whatever, some sort of tier
Oh.
had something like, oh, if you pay at this tier, then like we'll do something inside of the Sonic Omens game, which is not directly getting payment for the game, but it is like pseudo people paying
it's
for
there.
like
It's
features
there.
in the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the fans were upset. Not even Sega. The fans were upset because it's a very fine line to walk. And they were scared that if, because of this loophole, and I'm doing finger quotations, I do this too much in the podcast, I need to figure out a way to alleviate that. But yeah, because of this loophole, it might cause Sega to go back on their word and be like, you know what, you're abusing this like payment system in a way that we weren't really ready for. We're just gonna start taking games down. Like, no more Sonic games, no more Sonic fan games. So the fans were like, you're messing things up, stop doing what you're doing. But then Sega went out and was like, hey, relax. We love the fan games that you put out. We're totally in support, as long as you're not like making a profit off of them. And we'll always, from this point forward and from before, we're always going to like reach out to these fan games in a case by case basis. So there's no one fan game that's gonna like screw up fan games for the future, is what they've essentially said.
Interesting.
Which is very cool of Sega.
I've got some. You mentioned the comparison to Nintendo. I think that while Sega is doing the better thing in letting these fan games breathe, I think the reason Nintendo is so harsh about these things is because they can be. The best Sonic game in the last decade, arguably 2 decades, has been Sonic Mania, a fan-made game, essentially, that was given
Sonic
resources. Boom. Sonic Mania. And so I think they realized that the only way for Sonic to continue being relevant is for the fans to keep it up for them. The reason Nintendo is so harsh is because they can be. Because their first party Mario stuff has been fantastic. You know what I mean?
I see where you're coming from. I don't completely agree with what you're saying.
What? You disagree on a podcast? What's wrong with you?
It's like, I feel like it's more marketing and competition. It's like if Nintendo has from the very beginning stated, like, or not stated, but they've been hard about it from the very beginning. They're like, oh, there's a platformer with a plumber in it. No, get rid of that. We are the platformer plumber guys. And it has to do with competition and being like the only source of a way to play that kind of thing. Because no matter what, any competition is not good from the company side. It's good from the consumer side. If there's a competition
of course,
between Mario games with a fan-based Mario game, then it's like, oh, that's great, because now I get to choose. I want to play this free fan game, I want to go to play Mario Odyssey. And as it gets even easier to create bigger and bigger games with game dev tools getting easier to use, it becomes harder and harder for these companies to be like, okay, yeah, just leave these fan games to do whatever they want. I'm not saying I'm siding with Nintendo, but I do understand like their thought process. It's good to have exclusivity for your titles.
It's like how they shot down that reverse engineered PC port Super Mario 64, and a few months later released 3D All Stars. I mean, they don't want a better version on a console that they can't monetize.
Yeah, it makes,
right before putting out something that they're going to monetize.
It makes things harder for them.
Of course.
It's hard to say whether or not letting fan games go run rampant and do whatever is like a good strategy. There's like a lot of marketing benefits and downfalls to both ways of going about things. And I do understand what you're saying about Sonic not having like that gold quality standard. So really, they're like, okay, well, if we can't make a great game, then, you know, we're just gonna let you guys make a great game, and we'll, like, kind of ride the tailwind of you guys making great games. But I don't think that's really the reason why they do it. Sonic isn't going anywhere. There was a Sonic movie, like, a few years ago. There's a Sonic movie sequel coming out. You're shaking your head. The Sonic movie was actually a somewhat decent movie.
Yeah,
solid 7
because
out
of Jim
10.
Carrey. Solely because of Jim Carrey.
I mean, to each their own.
Yeah.
I think it was a decent kids movie. It's a kids movie, so you know.
Yeah, in which they couldn't even get Sonic's model right, and before until people cried about it on the internet.
Yeah, but then you can't be mad at people who went and changed what they did for the better.
That's
right?
not the problem. But like, how do you like before they released that trailer, who looked at that and was like, "This is good enough to put up as a big trailer to finally unveil this new Sonic movie"?
I mean, I don't know. Like, they're obviously...
That's the problem.
They didn't go and look up, like, hardcore Sonic fans for their screen testing or whatever, obviously. They were like, okay, yeah. Or maybe they got, like, really old Sonic fans who are just like, oh, I'm really happy that a movie's being made, let alone, like, anything else.
Yeah.
And then they got up.
Yeah.
It was a weird model, but I don't think it was, like, the worst-looking model out there. I think the movie benefited from the fans being like, hey, like, you should probably make the model better.
You should probably make it look more like Sonic.
But at the same time, like, the studio went back. They went really hard and replaced all the CGI of Sonic with the new Sonic CGI. So I'm like, you know,
that's fantastic. Yeah,
kudos to them.
No one's arguing that. Of course. That, and yeah, that's whoever was like, okay, we got to go back in, and then the animators and artists that did all that work. Zero issue with that, but it's just, I don't know, beforehand, like finally revealing this movie, and then I don't know, you're like, yep, that's good enough.
Yeah,
I mean, it might not even have been the artist's fault. It may have been, oh, I'm not done, and the executive's like, no, we need it right now. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I
don't know.
I don't think it wasn't like an incomplete model that they shoot. It was like a completely different model. I feel like they tried to take realism too far in the movie. Like, we want to make Sonic the Hedgehog look as much like a hedgehog as we can, and less like a cartoony Sonic. But then you kind of take away from what Sonic is the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't feel like they did anything ridiculously wrong. And they went back, they changed it. I'm not gonna bash...
Yeah.
Like, even the executives, obviously, like... There was probably some issues along the lines there. But even they were like, alright, we're gonna change this up. So...
I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, it just felt weird.
It was weird.
I don't know, it just felt like after years of just... games like Sonic Boom and Sonic Forces, just this. I mean, the only decent one in there was probably Generations, and then just I don't know. I felt like Sonic fans were just getting the absolute shortest end of the stick time and time again, and then they're like, oh, my Sonic movie, and then it's like again, like someone clearly isn't getting it, and like, I don't know, just from. Like if I don't know, like like trying to look at it from a Sonic fan's perspective. It's like, okay, rough game. Finally get this new movie thing. It looks weird. I don't know. It just feels like they've been pooped on a few times.
No, I mean, I agree. They've definitely been pooped on a few times. But I would rather be upset with the people who forced out Sonic Boom when it was, because that was not even like the programmers and developers. Like that was higher ups that like forced it out and being like, hey, we need to release at the same time as like the animated series or whatever that we're making and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I'm totally down to be upset with those people because that game was released and not fixed. And I mean, they did some patches or whatever, but still, like, it's a really bad game. And the executives were like, you know what, just leave it. It's a bad game, but it's out, and the people bought it. So like, I'm not gonna be upset at the uncle who was an alcoholic but then went to rehab and fixed himself. I'd rather be upset with the other uncle that's like still an alcoholic, and
that's fair.
Doesn't care.
That's an interesting way of putting it. But you're right, though. Yeah, I get your point. Wasn't Sonic Boom on like CryEngine 3, something like that?
I don't know, dude. I
believe it was a CryEngine 3, I think, which was I remember being a very, very strange choice. like why that anyway?
I had very little fries to give for that game. The controversy was more interesting to me than the game itself.
Yeah. Oh, to me the most interesting part was the jumping glitch with Knuckles.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
You just like completely break the game. It's like, oh man, I'm stuck at this one part. No, you're not. Just jump over it. You're fine. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think it was a mess. Game Grumps had a great a series on it. Just tearing it to shreds. Aaron, he usually tears most Sonic games to shreds, but it felt even more so with that one, just because of the nature of what it was.
It was good because he tears them to shreds, and then he got contacted by the people who made the game, and were like,
really,
and they told him like all the stuff that they had to go through.
Oh yes.
So I think it was very, I don't know if they went about it intentionally, trying to educate their audience about like how the process works, and you can't really blame solely the developers. You have to like really think about it from an outward perspective. But they really did a good job, because Aaron was one of those people. I mean, he wasn't. I don't think he was intentionally trying to bash the developers, but
he is Grump though. So
yes, exactly.
It makes sense.
But like
it makes sense.
He took on the persona of someone who was just like, look, how could you do this? You developers are bad, blah blah blah. The developers got in contact with him. He talked about it on the episode. Yeah. And then like it kind of educates everyone watching, being like, okay, there's more to this than just being upset at the people who programmed the game.
Of course, as it usually is. I guess, but that was more of that story. It was a very rushed situation, and nobody won. Not the devs, not the fans. No one won out of that,
except for the people making fan games. Because,
except for the people making fan games, exactly.
At that point, it's like, hey, I'd rather play a fan game than whatever this is.
Honestly, though, like, wasn't Sonic Mania, wasn't that started with, like, a group of people who were making a fan game?
Yes, it was.
Who
and then Sega
got
contacted them and hired them for the project of Sonic Mania.
Yeah. A fantastic move by them. Ends up being a fantastic game. I have it. It's great. It's fantastic. To the point where the new stuff is arguably better than the remixed old stuff. Like it's really, 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 really good. It's really good stuff.
I think Sega does a lot of good, but at the same time they just don't know what to do with their franchise when it comes to making games.
Yeah,
and it's hard for them to find a place for themselves, which is hard. Like making the transition to 3D Sonic, where 2D Sonic was just like, hey, it's like high-speed platformer.
Mm-hmm.
A high-speed platformer in 3D is like harder to do. So I
Yes.
understand why it's hard for them to find their place, but at the same time, like, it doesn't excuse like Sonic Boom or like other games that are like definitely
06.
not. Yeah. Well, I mean, '06, it was early enough. Whereas, like, okay, they're still trying to figure out how to work things, like a
I
3D
guess.
Sonic game.
I don't know. Sonic Adventure is a mess. The first one. Second one was fun. It's not a perfect game, but it was fun. Sonic Adventure 1 is Sonic Adventure 1.
Yeah.
That was the first 3D Sonic game, right? Or I think like Sonic R was, but in terms of like platforming,
I think so. I also went back and watched the thing about Sonic R after you told me about it.
yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I want to play that
It's
game.
Oh, it's so weird. It's so strange. But yeah, we went on that last episode though.
Yeah.
But yeah, we even Donkey's talked about how like 2D Sonic back in like the early 90s, right? Genesis, how like Sega does what a Nintendo kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like 2D Sonic was like a legit competitor to 2D Mario. But then the moment both of those franchises moved into 3D, it was game over. It was game over.
It's a lot
It's
easier to turn a
completely different
platformer
ballgame.
3D than a high-speed platformer into 3D.
Yeah, because then, like 3D Mario with 64, Sunshine, Galaxies, and now Odyssey, because 3D World was a bit of a different thing. But like those ones, like it's just a giant jungle gym. You've got all these tools, whereas a lot of 3D Sonic, like thinking about forces and boom, it was like still on rails, a lot of it,
Yeah.
and like still very linear, which is fine, but it's just like there was a lot more freedom, and Miyamoto's work with the original analog stick really changed things for 3D platformers, obviously. So, yeah.
It's hard. Like, I don't even know how you would make a Sonic game that like reflects the originals in 3D. Like,
Which to that point, is it better off just staying 2D then? Does it need to make the jump to 3D anymore? It obviously has not worked.
The problem is that they've done it, and now there are fans who want 3D Sonic, because not all the games are horrible. They're not like amazing. But
yeah, it's not 3D Mario good.
Like, I have very fond memories of Adventure 2 Battle.
I was gonna say Adventure 2 Battle was solid. I've heard Generations is really good.
I've heard Heroes is pretty decent as well.
I don't know too much about Heroes.
But yeah, there's decent 3D Sonics out there.
Yeah.
So they've already made the transition. So now you can't just be like, I mean, like, you can, but you shouldn't just be like, okay, all the 3D fans that we've gained, too bad. We're going full 2D now, because we can't figure out how to make a 3D Sonic. It would be better to see what 3D Sonic, like these fan-made things, and do the same thing as they did with Mania, and be like, oh, these people are doing interesting stuff with 3D Sonic. Let's grab some of these people, and they can be on like the dev team. Just like, or not even the dev team, they can just be like, give us your ideas as to why this one level of yours in 3D works, and all the ones that we've made have not worked.
Interesting. Kind of, yeah. If there's are enough fan modders and devs that in which Sega could make a Sonic Mania kind of deal out of a 3D Sonic, that could be very interesting. That could be very, very interesting. Because there have been some great indie 3D platformers.
Yes.
Blue Fire comes to mind. Again, not as fast, not the same kind of thing. Definitely a bit more Mario Zelda.
Yeah.
Type of deal. But point being that there are indie studios making really, really great 3D platformers. I'm sure there's a group out there that would and can do it in that faster, more Sonic-y style.
Exactly. And I don't think they have to be like the ones that program everything, but just taking their brains and being able to pick at them to figure out what like actually makes sense would be great. Sonic needs the Sonic team, the Sonic dev team needs to like take their time and make a really good 3D Sonic, because I know that they can do it even if it's not perfect, and then just let it fly. It would make headlines just on being a good Sonic game alone. So
honestly, with that in mind, though, I do think that there's got to be some group of modders and devs out there, like the same way like 3D Realms found a group of people who worked on the source port eDuke 32 for Duke Nukem 3D, and so they just gave him the resources, and then out came Ion Fury. Great game.
Yeah.
Same thing. A bunch of people who worked on the original, a bunch of fans that were still modding and making stuff with the original Quake engine. 3D Realms got a bunch of them together, and boom, Wrath Eon of Ruin is currently in early access. And so I think if you can find that kind of group to make Sonic Mania, if you can make that kind of group to make Ion Fury and Wrath Eon of Ruin, I think there are devs out there willing to do a 3D Sonic.
I completely agree. It's too big of a franchise for them not to have people who are willing to put the effort in, and like who actually have the talent to do so.
100%.
And they're a very hardcore fan base as well. Like Sonic fans are
weirdly
Sonic
so,
fans.
But yeah, almost to a fault. But I won't fault them today. I shan't fault them today. Yeah, certainly would be cool to see that, and bringing it back to the original story, it definitely seems to be like Sonic. That Sega does seem to play nicer with fan-made games than most other companies. Yeah.
Sega's really, or Sega can't say the Sega's like a whole group of things now, but whoever deals with their marketing and like dealing with like the fan games and stuff, they're doing a good job. It's a nice time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Speaking of the Sonic movie though, for a second.
Yeah.
There were rumors a while back, and I think they were confirmed, that Nintendo is looking to make movies with their IPs now.
Didn't they try that in the 90s?
Yeah, but the 90s is a little bit different than the 90s.
I would hope so. I would really hope so.
Just saying. The 90s were like a whole other beast. Rough.
Oh man, wasn't it like legit, like a live action, like weird Italian plumber kind of dude?
Yes, it was
so strange.
It was a rough watch.
I've got to go back and watch it.
I've never watched it completely from beginning to end. I've watched the entire movie in chunks in a random order.
Didn't like Yoshi look like a Ninja Turtle from the 80s movies?
No, he looked like a Velociraptor.
Oh, my bad. So sorry, I didn't remember that Yoshi was...
Yoshi just looked like a dinosaur.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Why? Okay, hold on, I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, look it up. The old 90s Super Mario film, I can't even remember what the name of the film is. It was
oh god.
Good. Yeah, see?
Why? Jurassic Park, eat your heart out. What is this? Why is it like that? Is that Peach with him?
Peach was in the movie, so probably.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm assuming it's Peach. I'm kind of guessing here.
Or it could have was Peach in the movie or is Daisy in the movie? There's something weird about the movie.
It's like a purple dress. I don't know. The fact that I can't tell tells you everything you need to know about the costume design and character models. I don't know. So strange.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe it is Daisy. Who knows?
I don't remember. It was bad.
But
it was very bad.
So with that in mind, though, do you think they could go like well, it's Daisy?
Yeah, it's Daisy.
Okay. Do you think they because obviously video game time movies are vastly different today than they were then.
Yes.
Even not just the Sonic movie. I'm also starting to think about Detective Pikachu. Right. Not too far off from that Sonic movie style, where it's live action and really good CGI alongside it.
Yes.
I think a lot of that came from like Space Jam. Space Jam was live action with a CGI on top. I'm sure someone's going to point out there was a movie that did it before. That was Space Jam was probably the bigger one.
There was that movie
probably more influential.
Was it the lady that was very sexual?
Huh?
There was like a movie that I think it came out before Space Jam, where there's a bunch of cartoons and with the live action people going on, and I only remember it because there was like this lady in a red dress who was like very sexualized.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Speak in the dead space so I can look it up.
Okay. I'm not doubting you, but that definitely sounds weird. But regardless, as I mentioned, I do think Space Jam was probably the more influential of the two. Even if there were movies like it before that, I do think that it was probably the first movie of that magnitude to marry those two concepts together, in which now obviously the CGI is vastly different in Detective Pikachu than it is in Space Jam, obviously, but it's that same style in that it's live action and CGI characters in one scene.
So that was great taking up the space, by the way. That was perfectly timed. The movie I was talking about is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, of course I've heard of that. What's this about the woman?
I mean, that's the only scene that I remember. And that's because it was like memed about, not because I never watched the actual movie.
I have heard of this.
And I lied. It came out after Space Jam.
Yes.
Did it?
I know what you're talking about.
1988? No, 1996.
She was basically
it came out well
Bunny,
before
but
Space Jam.
before that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Why
do I remember this movie so vaguely?
It came out 8 years before, or 6 years before Space Jam, something like that.
Space Jam came out in 96.
96? It still came out 88. So 8 years before.
Wow. Yeah, I remember Space Jam came out like at the tail end. I think at the tail end, at least, of Michael Jordan's first retirement.
Mm-hmm.
In which he came back after 90. Well, the playoffs of the 95-96 season.
Yeah.
But anywho.
Yeah, like to what you were saying, like these movies have come a very long way. Like a very, very long way.
Yeah. Yeah. So it definitely would be interesting to see what they could do with Mario or Zelda. I'd be interested in a Zelda movie.
I would be interested in a Zelda movie too. I feel like that would fit a live action scene a bit better.
Like Lord of the Rings kind of deal.
Yeah.
But for kids.
But it would be very, like, you have to be careful with these IPs. Like,
I mean, they weren't careful with it back then, but
well, that's the thing.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah,
they weren't, and then they were like, "We're never doing this again." I'm pretty sure that's a direct quote from a Nintendo person. It's like, "We're never going to do this again." It should be.
Good. That person is right. Person is correct.
And it's now 2021, and Nintendo's like, you know what? We can probably like delve our we can dip our toe back into these waters and see what we can do.
Yeah, but in a very, very different vein, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, to what you were saying, Detective Pikachu was, even, no matter what you think about the movie itself, like, technically, it was spectacular.
Yeah. Is it Ryan Reynolds in that movie?
Yeah, he's Pikachu.
Is he actually?
Yeah, no joke, he's Pikachu.
Oh. That's really cool. I'm going to watch it now.
It's visually stunning. So
Nice.
Even if you don't,
I don't know much about it.
I didn't know much about it when I watched it, but it's still, like, visually it's a spectacle.
Nice.
And it's a decent movie.
Nice.
Probably better than the Sonic movie.
Probably.
Yes. Not by much though.
That movie's got Jim Carrey though. The movie's got Jim Carrey though. Jim Carrey carried that movie.
Jim Carrey did do a very good job at playing Eggman.
Put it on his back.
It was essentially a Jim Carrey movie, but Sonic was there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He carried that movie because Jim Carrey's, I don't know. He's one of my favorite actors. Just because, I mean, yeah, he's known for his like slapstick stuff, but then you watch him in Liar Liar and The Truman Show, and it's like, oh yeah, like there's more to this guy.
Yes.
It's really cool. But
Agreed.
that's a bit off topic.
What do you think? Jim Carrey's? It's a video game, right?
I mean,
Truman Show is great.
I'd love to see.
Such a good movie.
Yeah.
That would make a very good game.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think. I mean,
You think?
Truman Show is almost the first battle royale, if you think about it.
Well, no. I was thinking of Among Us. I was gonna say, I don't know. You said Battle Royale. I was thinking of Among Us because all those popular games are just one thing to me. I remember when everyone was like, "Oh, Among Us is such a new cool thing." It's just the thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all Among Us is.
Really, it's just like Detective, like the card game.
Which is a remake. Detective.
No, it's like the card game where it's like one person's a werewolf or whatever, and one person's a detective, and like figure out. It's literally that game, but
yeah, which is probably based off of The Thing.
Yeah, sure. I don't know how old The Thing is or how old this card game is, so I can't really.
Well, John Carpenter's The Thing is from '82, but that was a remake of a movie from the '50s or '60s.
Yes, but how old are cards?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean we know when that game was made.
That's what I'm saying.
Which means by default the thing came first.
Okay, sure. Whatever you say.
It's the only one that we have dated. But anyway, off topic once again. The movie. I do think Nintendo's going to be. What's sorry?
I said let's get back on topic. The Truman Show being the first ever battle royale.
I don't know. Oh man. Let's back to the movies though. I do think obviously Nintendo has been and will continue to be much more careful with their first party franchises.
Mm-hmm.
But IPs rather. But given how the Sonic movie was after the remodel, given how Detective Pikachu was, I think they're starting to see that and be like, hey, we could really do something interesting here.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that if it wasn't for the badness of their first like toes dipping into that kind of thing, then we could have had like Nintendo-based franchise movies for all this time.
Interesting.
But it was just like, okay, we tried, it was horrible, we're not gonna do that. Let's just stop.
Ever again.
Again. Never, ever.
Yeah, it's got really, really cold feet.
And I can't blame them. Also, I'm sure that, like, because it's a Japanese-based company, it's hard. Because socially we're different. So
yes.
Marketing to an American audience, especially at the time where we weren't as connected as a whole, like the world, it would have been a lot harder to do. Whereas now I feel like even if we're socially different, like we all kind of understand each other around the world. Like, we're more one entity than we used to be.
The internet, baby.
So it plays itself to making better movies that way.
Yeah, it's easier to get beat on different markets, where it's easier to see what's going on.
Exactly.
In those markets.
I'm looking forward
Speaking
to
of
seeing
marketing,
them.
though. Yeah, same. Speaking of marketing, though, and Nintendo's marketing specifically, and their ups and downs, that Mario movie was not the only time they marketed something poorly.
What?
The Wii U, baby.
What are you talking about?
So, a day or two ago, a friend of ours was, because we were talking about different consoles, and he was asking us if he should buy a Switch, or if he should wait for E3 to see if there's a Switch 2 or something. And we're like, no, like if anything, it's gonna be like a Switch Pro, or like a PS4 Pro, because of how late the Switch came out in last generation. And he was like, oh, kind of like the Wii U to the Wii, right?
Oh no.
We were like, nope. But that's exactly why it failed. It's exactly why it failed. I'm not making that up. You know which one I'm talking about.
Crazy.
Yeah, so had to explain to him that Wii U was not a pro version of the Wii, as he and many others thought it was.
Oh jeez. That's
I swear,
hard to hear. I mean, it's hilarious.
I'm not kidding.
But
yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah, so had to explain to him that if anything, just given the Switch's life cycle and how it's only 4 years old now, probably going to be a Switch Pro or something of that nature to elongate its life cycle. But still probably wait for E3, given that it's so close.
Yeah.
Just to see exactly which one's better for you. Like if the extra $100 or so is even worth it, even if it is a Switch Pro. But yeah, hearing him think the Wii U was an extension or a pro version to the Wii was hilarious.
Oh, jeez. I'm gonna have to go on my Discord group with the 7 other Wii U owners in the world. We're gonna have a talk about this.
That's the thing, though. The Wii U had what? Super Mario 3D World, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. What else? New Super Mario Bros. U. Zombie U. I'll give you some games.
Okay.
Mario Kart 8, which is now the best-selling game on Switch.
Yes.
What else is there? It had its own Paper Mario. It had a bunch of games.
It had Mario
It had a bunch
Party,
of great games.
all the worst ones.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Mario Parties. I was thinking of them. There's a reason I did not say them. I was trying to prove a point here.
Did you say Breath of the Wild? Because technically that was a Wii U
I did not. You're right.
game.
That was a Wii U game until they realized it was failing. And so they delayed it just so they could release it on Switch day and date.
Yes.
Which honestly was the right move, though. Let's be real.
Oh, guaranteed. I mean, me and the 7 other people would have been happy to have it on the Wii U, but I'm glad it reached a better audience.
Yeah, you didn't even get it for Wii. You got it for Switch.
Yeah, I also got it like quite late. It was like a year and a half or 2 years after release.
But you had a Wii U, though. You could have gotten it day and date.
Yeah, but no, it's okay. The frame drops and everything were really bad in the Wii U version, from what I've heard, when it first came out. And then they patched things up, so it's like not as bad.
Yeah. The Switch version still, the frame rate still drops in, not when you're wandering the Lost Forest, but like when you get to like the middle of where the Great Deku Tree is.
Yeah, because of all the Koroks.
Yeah, just a lot going on there.
And like the lighting.
I've heard it's gotten better, which, mind you, apparently a lot of the frame drops in both versions are compounded by the triple buffer VSync, in which if it dips below 30, instead of going to 28 to 29, it automatically locks to 20. So even if it's not that bad of a frame, a Digital Foundry was talking about it. So even if it's not that bad of a strain internally, it locks to 20, bringing it all the way down. They said obviously they didn't agree with that choice, but yeah, and that's why anytime it dips below 30, it just automatically locks to 20. It's a very strange choice.
Do you know?
Very, very strong emphasis.
I don't know,
VSync.
like
Sorry?
if you heard in the video or whatever, because like I haven't watched the video, but would that be like it has to stay underneath 30 for a prolonged period of time and then it drops to 20, or is it like we got a frame at 28, we're gonna drop it to 20, and then the next frame was 31, popping it back to 31?
I don't think they talked about that specifically, but looking at the frame time graphs, it seemed to be at most like if it would dip, the time between it being a perfect 30 to a perfect 20, maybe about a second or two. Like, it's not much.
Wow.
And again, that's just me looking at the frame time graph. Just lock 30, little bit of a squiggle, lock 20, then it squiggles right back up. It's very, very jarring. It's very strange.
A
couple other games have done that, but yeah.
It's like more jarring, I would argue. But
that's exactly what they argued. They said that they did not agree with it. But to mind you, the Wii U had frame drops like far below even that. I was watching another friend of ours that got it almost day and date on Wii U, and I went over to his house, watch him play it, and he, oh my gosh, he went into a group of like bokoblins and moblins, and something or someone used some electrical attack of some sort, and he hit an enemy at the same time, and the game froze for like 2 or 3 seconds, like it was just done. And then it caught up. He was like, whoa, what is happening? So the Wii U had like genuine struggles at some points.
And this is why I waited.
Yeah.
I waited too long.
Definitely worth the wait to get the Switch version. Not that it looks amazingly different. I think Wii U is a locked 720, whereas the Switch is adaptive. I think it's like an adaptive 900p, so it was like mostly sitting around like in easier parts 900p, other parts about an 810p ish.
Yeah.
So not a giant visual leap from Wii U, but certainly a noticeable performance upgrade. Not monumental. It's still capped at 30 with some drops, but not as bad as Wii U.
Yes,
I guess not as bad as Wii U. Yeah, Wii U, fantastic first party games. Even something like a Devil's Third, given which money was not that popular at the time, but the Game Grumps had way too much fun with that character, with that Russian accent. It's a great series. I highly recommend checking it out. It's hilarious.
Wasn't Bayonetta 2 also for the Wii U?
Bayonetta 2 was a Wii U exclusive.
Yeah.
Wii U exclusive, yeah. I mean, now it's on Switch, as most Wii U exclusives were.
Yes.
Because might as well make more money off them, and rightfully so. But yes, Bayonetta 2 was a great Wii U exclusive, although that 60 FPS is not as 60 FPS as people remember. The Switch version does drop here and there, but the general improvement is like 15 to 20 FPS higher than Wii U, give or take, certain scenes. So the Switch version, while not a locked 60, is almost locked 60. The Wii U version is not a lock. It's really not. It's really not that locked at all. But anywho, yeah, another example of another great exclusive that did not get the love it deserved on Wii U.
No,
because it was Wii U.
Because it was Wii U. Because there's no love to give. Me and the 7 other people could only have so much love to give Gio. On their website we always check, it sold 13.5 million units. Yes.
That's nothing. Which going through the same thing. The GameCube only sold 20. I was so disappointed. I'm so sad.
No, but GameCube was known as something that didn't sell that great. Same with like the 64.
Know,
it wasn't like the best in sales. Nintendo
No.
went through like a harder period there, and then jumped back with the Wii.
The Wii.
And they jumped back hard. And then they dropped back down just as hard.
But now they've risen just as fast again.
Yep.
With the Switch, which is probably going to cross the 100 mil mark sometime this year.
Yes. Most likely.
Probably at this rate. I mean, it's a 85 mil now, 84 and a half. I want to say.
Something. Like
In which
that,
case, the next 2 quarters probably going to bring it up just under 100 mil. But then that holiday quarter is going to be the one that really pushes it.
Yeah, as
especially
usual.
if there's a Switch Pro. Especially if there's a Switch Pro. Bro, it's going to be insane in terms of sales.
But are they gonna, if they release the Switch Pro, are they going to count those numbers towards the Switch? Because did they count the numbers for the new 3DS for the 3DS numbers? Do you know?
I'm going to go check right now.
I would be very curious as to see if they would like separate those.
That's a very good question. Or DS with like DS and DSi and DS Lite and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Would you quantify that as the same thing or not?
No, because I feel like the DS and the DSi were actually two separate. Like there was there DSi games?
No. Yeah, so the DS, both of them are just kind of lumped.
Okay, that makes sense.
Nintendo 3DS, 75.94 million units for the 3DS, and the DS has over double that, 154 million units.
Yeah, DS.
Because
was
again,
crazy.
because they released the DS Lite, the DSi, DS this, the DS that. Again, all the same games, but they just kept churning out. The 3DS, the reason I don't think it did as well is because the new 3DS played certain games that the regular 3DS did not. Whereas the DS, sure, the DSi had a better screen, a better camera, it was lighter, it was this, it was that, but you could play every DS game on the original DS. So I think people I think that didn't scare off certain fans as much, and I think looking at the sales numbers, the DS has sold more than double the 3DS with 154 million units. I think the Switch could go down that route.
I
Switch
agree.
Pro doesn't play unique games, but it's got an OLED screen. It's got a DLSS 2.0 with that NVIDIA chipset to help that resolution. You know what I mean? If they could go down that route, I'm just saying, could be very interesting.
I don't think that was exactly the reason for the 3DS. We've butted heads about this quite a few times. About how I can definitely see Nintendo going the new 3DS route. Not that I think it's the best way to go about it, but I can definitely see them doing it.
I can see them doing it. I just would wholeheartedly disagree with it.
No, of course. I
think
know.
it's so dumb. I think it's so stupid.
But I don't think that the reason that the 3DS doesn't sell as well as the DS was because of the new 3DS's limitations. There was very few games that the new 3DS was exclusive for.
It was enough, though. It was the principle.
Yeah, but then there was
I think
you also had the DS came out in a time where mobile gaming was less of a thing. You're fighting.
I always forget about mobile gaming.
Yeah, you're fighting against a new market that you never had to fight against before, really, with the 3DS.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see less and less people walking around with the DS. The DS was a phenomenon in the same way that the Wii was.
Actually, upon its original release, the DS was not as much of a phenomenon because the PSP was a legitimate competitor at first, as it was more powerful, and Sony was putting up big dog exclusives. But to this point about multiple generations of or multiple revisions of the same console, when the DSi came out and the PSP 2000 came out, the PSP 2000 was the same thing but a little bit slimmer.
Yes.
That's it. But the DSi was like enhanced a lot of things. Enhanced camera, enhanced... I don't know, you probably speak to it more than I can because I know the PSPs more because I had a PSP. It's right next to me right now, actually. A PSP 1000. I actually dug it back up recently. But yeah, anyway, back to the point. The DS at first was not as much of a phenomenon because it had that big Sony finally getting into that space. But as time went on, PSP really fizzled out hard. And the DS took off after that. So yeah, upon original release, the DS was not as much of a phenomenon at first.
I mean, I would say the DS was, like, as a whole, I mean, I'm not speaking specifically of like the beginning, and like I'm just saying like the whole life cycle of the DS was like a phenomenon. I agree with you there though. Like they had competition in the beginning. There was actually like people's heads, it was like, do I want a PSP? Do I want a DS? Kind of thing.
PSP had some great games. Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, which was basically Monster Hunter 1 and 2 Ultimate. Like it had some big dog exclusives.
Yeah. But
it was great.
The DS had Pokemon. That's all it needed.
You're right, but it hurts.
I mean, that literally, if the Pokemon company was like, hey, we're putting out a not anymore because of how like the mobile games have changed and stuff now, but like at the time, if the Pokemon company was like, listen, we're putting out the Pokemon Boy, it only has Pokemon games, there's a decent chance it would have outsold like everything else.
Honestly, that's why I got my Game Boy Advance. I still got Pokemon Ruby and Emerald.
Yeah,
I got Emerald first. I got into that game late, but I didn't even know that my Game Boy Advance SP could play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games until it was too late. In which I kind of just want a Game Boy Color just to flex on people now.
I love the Game Boy Color.
Not even because I need it.
So
I've got my SP still. I just want a Game Boy Color. But that's besides the point. That also sold very well.
Yeah. But back to the point. Like
the
DS was a phenomenon, did really well. But then as like mobile games became more of a thing, it's hard to sell what was essentially I mean, it's like you couldn't play the same games on your mobile, but then But then you're asking children or like adolescents to make the choice between a phone and a 3DS, and like a lot of people are going to choose a phone.
Yeah, especially now, which is why I think the Switch is the perfect thing for Nintendo, because it still has that portability, but now instead of like just playing Pokemon on a bus, now you can play like Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
You can play like big dog games. Obviously, no, it's not the same frame rate as PS4. I'm aware, but it's a vastly different mobile experience that you can't get on a phone.
Exactly.
Which is why I think the Switch is perfect. It's more powerful than anything you can get on a phone, while still providing a home console experience. So I think it's the perfect hybrid. I think they absolutely nailed it. I think most people think they absolutely nailed it. So I'm not going to go on that for too long. But yeah, Wii U's marketing stunk though, because like the Switch is what the Wii U should have been all along.
Yes.
It had a similar tablet thing. It was just not its own thing. You needed the other console to be on to even use it, which was so weird.
I mean,
which I've seen someone.
It's not another console. It's the one, like they're two halves of a whole. It's
so strange. I was gonna say someone. Look, I was watching on YouTube. Got a Wii U. Got this like intense battery pack. Hooked up the console to it.
Put it in a backpack.
And put all that in a backpack, and then was playing his Wii U on the go as if it were a Switch. I thought that was hilarious. Obviously, it's way too many hoops for anyone to actually take that seriously, but the fact that it's possible and he took the time to do it is I think really cool and pretty funny.
Yeah.
But just trying to kind of make the Wii U into what it should have been. But yeah, I think the Switch is what the Wii U should have been from the beginning.
I agree, and I think Nintendo knows that as well.
Yeah.
I don't really think Nintendo thought through the Wii U very well, and like it shows in
just
like,
the name alone. Just the name alone.
yeah,
Just the name.
because people think it was an attachment to the Wii. So then they're like, okay,
Yeah.
we're not going to buy this because we already have a Wii. We don't need this tablet thing.
That's exactly the thing, because like it had the Wii name in it. A lot of the commercials, since only one person can use the tablet at a time, so even in the commercials during the multiplayer games, people had Wiimotes.
Yep.
So hold on, you've got Wii in the name, you've got Wiimotes. People got confused. Was it still a good system? Yeah. No one knew it was a good system because the marketing, the naming, just a lot of it was just handled very, very poorly.
Yeah.
It's still a great system with great games though, but they didn't allow it to get the love that it deserved.
I agree. I completely agree. But at the same time, like, I'm glad. There's a part of me that's glad that it failed as much as it did, because it kind of led to the Switch, and it coming as quickly as it did, because it was like, okay, let's push the Switch out, because the Wii U is obviously not something we put our money in, right?
Yeah, the sacrificial lamb. We've talked about that.
Yeah, it was rough.
But the light at the end of that tunnel was a
blinding.
Big. Very big. That's that's our weekly poop on the Wii U segment.
Has to be one.
It wasn't even that heavy poops though. Like we did praise it a lot, but speaking of bad marketing though, the Wii U had bad marketing. Halo Infinite had good marketing before that gameplay release.
Yeah.
Last year. The problem is, not only did it look unfinished, but then they came out and said, "Oh, that's an old build."
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's an old build, and it's not representative of what I'm gonna see, I've actually something to say about this as well, because Spawnwave on YouTube was talking about this. But if it's an old build, why am I seeing it right now? If it's not ready, why am I seeing it? A lot of people were memeing that, what was it, Craig? That meme? That big monkey man in the Halo Infinite trailer? That like close-up?
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah,
the enemy?
Yeah.
Apparently, since it's a brand new engine that they're making specifically for Halo Infinite, they're making the engine and like tweaking it alongside the developers making the game. And so apparently, Spawnwave was talking about the reason that enemy did not react very well was because the ability to put in certain facial animations or certain animations in general was not added in that build yet of the engine, since it's a brand new engine.
Yeah.
And again, stuff like that happens all the time during development, especially with new engines. Happens all the time. Yeah. I'm sure RE Engine, when they were making that, I'm sure that dev team was going through something very similar with RE7. The difference is we didn't see it. We, the consumer, did not see it. Mm-hmm. Why? We shouldn't see it. That's not for us to see. So I think they unveiled it too soon. Given that the delay is a year, and we still haven't seen anything since last summer, and even what we did see has now been confirmed to be that the engine was still a work in progress, and certain things weren't even implemented into the engine yet.
Yeah.
I still think it can be a good game? Yes. Do I think it's going to be a big 10 out of 10 game? No. But it's still going to be a good game, but they pushed it too soon. They pushed that trailer too soon. It was not ready. They've admitted it's not ready. They've delayed it by a year. The developers have said that the engine wasn't even done yet. We didn't need to see that last year.
Yeah.
We didn't. Plain and simple. It was too soon. The end.
And it goes exactly with like the bad marketing thing that we're talking about. It's just they decided, hey, it was probably higher ups. Like, hey, we want to show something. Show something now. Get something fast out there. And
yeah, because it was around E3 time.
Yeah.
So yeah, It's just, come on, Phil. What are you doing, Phil Spencer?
Is
it Phil Spencer?
I think so. I doubt there was someone at
Phil.
the dev team was like, "Hey, let's push this out. Like, let's do this."
That's definitely higher up.
Yeah, 100%. It was a marketing thing.
Well, because again, the plan at that point was to release it last holiday.
Yeah, not happening.
So with that in mind, I get why they wanted to push a trailer, but like if it's not ready for a trailer, that should tell you it needs to be delayed.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Cyberpunk 2077. They said it went gold in October or November. Oh, it's coming out in November. It's gone gold, and then it got delayed after it went gold. It's like, if it's not ready, just tell me it's not ready. Why are you wasting my time?
Yeah.
It's fine if it needs more time. Wait until it's done. You know what I mean? Because like, had that game released now, it wouldn't have been as badly received.
Mm-hmm.
But someone pushed it too soon, and it like the fact. I mean, I'm skipping months and months and months of overhype, but like just October alone, the fact that within like a 2 to 3 week span, it went from going gold to getting delayed after going gold.
Yeah.
That tells you everything you need to know about how quickly that got pushed too soon. It does.
That, again...
And it's happened before, it'll happen again.
It's the big boys that are making decisions that they shouldn't be making.
Exactly.
Without consulting the dev team. Or consulting the dev team and then being like, okay, whatever. Well, we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have even released footage or like a trailer of Cyberpunk as early as they did. Because then like the hype was ridiculous and you had all these fans that were constantly asking and waiting. Like, when's this game coming out? You said it was going to come out at this point, but now it's like, it's delayed. I want the game. I want the game. You shouldn't have showed it that early if you didn't have like anywhere near what you needed to have to make the game function.
Which actually, going back to a previous topic, sorry, but which again is exactly why I don't think Nintendo's bringing anything Metroid Prime 4 in next month. I think that's exactly why. If it's not ready, it's not ready. They don't want to get people's hopes up, because then it's just going to be questions constantly.
No, I agree, but I feel like if you've got the dev team at Cyberpunk knew that they were not a year or two away from a release. They knew that's fair. It would have to be the higher ups that were like, okay, we're gonna release it. We have a release date, whatever, blah blah blah. If I trust in Nintendo and in Retro specifically, that
absolutely,
if they are like, okay, we are a year away from a release, with potential delays of like a few months, like that they've done before, then I wouldn't put it past them to be like, okay, yeah, let's put a trailer out, because we know that like it'll be done in a year and a half ish. Also, Nintendo's been as big of a butt that they can be with like fan games and stuff. They're very good with the people that like make their IPs and their games and stuff like that. It's always been okay, if the game's not finished, then it's better. Like, they have their own quote. It's like, it's better to release a finished game you're happy with later than an unfinished game like now.
Miyamoto, he said a delayed game is eventually good. A rushed game is always bad.
Exactly.
Something like that.
And they've stuck with that philosophy for a long time.
Yep.
And people understand, like, hardcore, like, not even just hardcore, but like just people who game understand that Nintendo has this philosophy. So all it takes is if they show Metroid Prime 4 during E3 now and say it's going to release next year summer, which is not going to happen, but and then it comes to around that time and they're like, hey, we're delaying it because we want to make this the best game possible. It's going to be a very different reaction from the Nintendo and Metroid fans than there was from the Cyberpunk fans, where they were like, oh, you're delaying the game again? Like, you showed us all this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, there's a different expectation.
Yeah, they've set a precedent.
Because a different reputation. Yeah. Yeah, it's a different precedent.
But yeah. Anyways, we should start wrapping down. It's been a long podcast.
Wrapping up.
Wrapping up. Yes.
Cooling down.
Cooling down. Wrapping up. Taking a step
Wrapping
to the
down,
side.
Cooling up. But yes, I agree. Do you have any speedrun recommendations?
I have a very quick speedrun recommendation. We'll go through this segment a little bit faster than usual.
Yes.
It's Super Mario Odyssey speedrun. Specifically, the minimum captures run. Because it's very interesting.
I love those ones. It's so much fun.
It's so interesting how they get around not capturing things.
Yeah.
So the person in first place right now is Red Slay 9. He's from the United Kingdom.
Nice.
It's an hour and 17 minutes, 32 seconds. You can give that a watch. There's also a person named Smalland. He's a Canadian. I've watched a lot of his content on YouTube. He's a very fun guy to watch. I would recommend giving it a watch. It's only like 4 minutes slower.
Nice.
That's my speedrun recommendation.
Nice. I do not watch as many speedruns as you do. So I don't have anything for this week. Just in general, though, I was looking at some Zelda speedruns. So I was watching people go from the Great Plateau and just beeline it with right to Ganon's castle and like do I don't know, do different things. Just like get right up to the top as soon as possible, and then go through the Divine Beasts. Sorry, what are they called? Not the Calamity Ganon. The four other ones. The Blight.
The Blights, yeah.
Yeah. The different Blight Ganons, one after another, and like specific methods. And I was like, oh, like here, and he's gonna land here. This is where I'm gonna get 3 hits in, and then he's gonna back up. I don't know. They've got down to a T now. It's amazing to watch still. It's really, really cool to watch. But yeah, that's just in general. I don't unfortunately take names like you do. I should, but I don't. But this week's free game on the Epic Store was the first mystery game. Next week's is also a mystery game.
Just excited.
But this week's is no longer a mystery. This week's is NBA 2K21. That caught me off guard.
Yes, same.
We were talking before the podcast that they seem to be heating up before
E3.
E3 season, yep. I guess. Next week's is another mystery game. There's a big Epic Mega Sale, so definitely check that out. But yeah, NBA 2K21 out for free right now on the Epic Store. So if you like those games and you've got a good PC, there you go. It's free.
Or just
have fun.
Even if you don't have a good PC, your
I mean,
stuff,
yeah, might as well claim it.
Yeah, your stuff follows you on your account. So if you buy a new PC afterwards, you can still download it and play later on.
That is very true. Yeah, because I remember playing 2K17 on PC, and it's not particularly well optimized.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unplayable, but it wasn't particularly well optimized. I can't imagine now with this being the first next gen version.
Yeah.
Can't imagine it being better optimized. So do take that into account, but always claim it. It's free. If you've got an account, you might as well claim it just in case you get a different PC down the line. Because it's free, and free is good.
Free is always good.
Video game songs. You got something in mind?
I do, and I was glad that you brought up Zelda, because I usually match up my video game songs with the speedrun, but this time I was like really into listening to Zelda music this week.
Please don't take my song. Oh god.
Is your song also a Zelda song?
Yeah.
Okay, well, mine is... I have 2 Zelda songs that I've listened to extensively. The first one being Song of Storms.
What, sorry?
Song of Storms. First heard in Ocarina of Time, and then in a couple of songs, couple of titles after that. Very good song, love it. And the second one is The Woods of Mystery. That's a Majora's Mask title.
Nice.
And they were both...
Majora's Mask, super jank, but
I love
good.
it so much, though. They're both composed by Koji Kondo, just to put it out there.
Nice.
They're very, very well composed, very good songs, and you can hear a bunch of different renditions of these songs on YouTube. People love them.
Nice. My Zelda song is, I can't remember if I've mentioned it in a previous video before. Maybe I have, maybe not. I don't remember. The night version of Kakariko Village from Breath of the Wild. Adore that song. That and the night version of Zora's Domain, also from Breath of the Wild. Two fantastic songs. Again, the composition is very similar to the day version. The same chord progression, same melody, but it's just usually slowed down. Sometimes some different, more muted instrumentation. So it's just a much calmer vibe of what's ultimately the same melody and song, but just a much chiller version at nighttime. So highly recommend those. Zora's Domain and Kakariko Village from Breath of the Wild.
Very good
One
songs.
of my favorite games of all time.
Any Zelda song is a great song.
Oh, of course. 100%. Yeah, that just about does it for today's episode. Do you have anything to add before we go?
No, I don't have a poem ready for you this week. Sorry.
Well, if you're never sure, if you don't want to check out any of those songs, always listen to Beach Buds.
Always.
With that said, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Games Per Second podcast. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe for more content, ring that notification bell, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
See ya.